Hi, my name's Matt, and my wife Cheryl is behind the camera. We are standing here at Neuschwanstein Castle here in southern Germany, an area called Bavaria, Germany. So in this video, we want to show you some things to do in the Bavaria region in Germany. We've got 2 days here, and we're going to try to get as much in as we can, so we want to show you some of the things that we're doing. Now, the first thing to do is to visit this very famous castle. This is called the Neuschwanstein Castle, and I just want to tell you a couple things that you need to know about it. First of all, there are two castles here. There's one called Hohenschwangau Castle, and I'm sure I'm butchering the names on these. And then there's this one that's Neuschwanstein Castle. Somebody is banging their stick on the railing over there, so hopefully it's not too distracting. So there's two castles here that you can visit. You can actually tour both of the castles if you want to. You can buy a combo ticket to tour both of them. I only did the one, this one here. This is the big famous one, mostly because I didn't think my kids would be able to hack 2 tours in a row. And I think that was a good decision. The tour here is 30 minutes long. Most people say it's kind of dry. A lot of people say it's not worth it. Personally, I felt it was worth it. We went in there and saw the beautiful rooms inside, and wow, they were so ornate. It was amazing. The tour guide was a little dry. And yes, it was a little short, but that was actually kind of good for us and our kids. But I thought just being in the castle, it was worth it to pay the money to go in there. And then you actually get to go out on a balcony at the end of the tour to see a viewpoint of the valley below, which is spectacular. So I thought it was worth it. Now, a couple things to know about it. First of all, the guy who built this castle, King Ludwig II, he grew up in the one castle, the yellow castle, and then he ended up building this as kind of his fantasy playground. In order to get to this castle here, you either need to hoof it uphill about 20 minutes. Well, we were kind of going pretty quickly and it took us 20 minutes. A lot of people, maybe around 30-minute walk up the hill to get here. You can also take a horse and carriage ride if you want to, or a shuttle, but neither of those actually get you right to the door. The shuttle actually drops you off above the castle and then you can walk down below. The horse and carriage ride will drop you off below the castle and then you'll walk up. The horse and carriage ride doesn't save you any time, it only saves you some steps. It actually kind of goes pretty slow and you have to wait in line, I'm sure, to get it. So the quickest way is actually probably just to walk if you're in decent shape. The other thing to know when you get up there is that your tour time, you have to be there right at your tour time or you're gonna miss your tour. Once you get in there, you're gonna be doing a lot of walking as well upstairs. So you go up a staircase, a circular staircase, and up multiple flights of stairs once you're in there. We saw some people who weren't in too good a shape and they were kind of struggling in there. So you need to be aware of that. The other thing to know about this is there is a road that goes up above the castle there to a famous bridge called Mary's Bridge. And that's where most of the pictures that you see online are taken from. That viewpoint from the bridge will show the gorge below with the castle and the valley down below. It's really beautiful. Unfortunately for us, the bridge is closed right now due to construction, so we're not able to go up there. Thumbs up, thumbs down, would you recommend coming to Neuschwanstein Castle?
Oh, for sure.
This is, I thought, fantastic, and I know it's kind of like touristy. Oh, here's the other thing to know. A lot of people are like, well, it's not even a castle, and it's true. It's more like the guy's palace. It was just his big palace that he built for himself only. This is not like...
He did not build it to entertain. It was for him.
Not to entertain, not for defense either. This isn't like a defense castle, you know, up on a hill. This is just his own playground, kind of like a Disneyland, which is kind of funny because everybody calls it the Disneyland of castles, fairy tale castles. So that is true, and it's very recent. It was only built in like the 1860s. Somebody said Coca-Cola is older than this castle here. But I thought it was fantastic. Maybe I'm an easy tourist to please, but I really enjoyed it. And I thought the tour was worth it. I was glad I paid the money to go inside. Okay, the other thing you can do here at Neuschwanstein is come over to the lake. The lake is just right next to the parking lot pretty much. And we're just eating a picnic here, enjoying a really lovely afternoon. I mean, it's been a little overcast. It rained a little bit earlier, but maybe that was good because it kind of kept away the crowds. I don't know, we feel quite fortunate. I've heard this lake can be really full, but we're having a great time here. Now these little swans down here that you see down by the lake reminded me of, during the tour you learned about Mad Ludwig II, the king, whose nickname is Mad because he was kind of bonkers. He had an obsession with swans, so he's got a whole room inside that castle with the most ornate swans that are painted and carved into wood, and just man, that was really actually cool, but he was kind of obsessed with swans. And so some came over here just a minute ago and nearly attacked one of our kids. That was kind of funny, actually. So anyway, come and enjoy the lake. You know, I hear so much about the castle, but the whole area has just been really delightful to visit today.
We just crossed from Germany into Austria. We're in the Bavaria area in the Alps. This is so exciting. And we just crossed Highline 179. This, when it was built 8 years ago, it was the world's longest like pedestrian bridge, like free hanging bridge. And it's about a quarter-mile long across. It's over 300 feet tall, and it is something else. It can hold 1,000 people at a time, but this is not like walking on cement. It sways as you walk, and it's kind of see-through underneath, so you can see the forest and the road beneath you. And even though I'm not super scared of heights, it was still a little unnerving because it is so high. My dad is terrified of heights. He made it about 1/5 of the way across and went back. Then he had to sit down and he had to like do some self-talk telling him that he can do it. And he didn't want the family making fun of him for not getting across the bridge. So he did. He made it across. He had both hands on both bars the whole way across, and he did it.
I was the same way.
I wasn't gonna throw you under the bridge or the bus.
I barely made it. Both hands gripping the whole way. Okay.
But you did it, and it was great. And this has been one of the funnest things that I think we've done on this trip. The Alps are so beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Grand Teton, except for, you know, when you go up the gondola at Teton Village, there's not a cool castle at the top like there is here, or a bridge to walk across the canyon. So this is really fun. But something that's so cool is that behind me is ancient castle ruins that we're gonna see when we hike back. So we have to cross this bridge twice, so I hope we're up for the challenge. We all made it across the first time, so hopefully we know we can do it and do it again.
Okay, the next thing to do in this area is to visit some of the castles. On the end of the bridge is actually a bunch of castle ruins, like 4 or 5 different ones from multiple different centuries, 1200s, 1400s, 1600s. Really cool. They're big. These are great. I mean, look, I haven't seen many castles. I've just been here in Europe for a few days, but I am amazed. I'm loving them. I'm loving walking around the ruins. These are some fantastic castles to walk around. These are actually real castles, unlike the Neuschwanstein Castle. One funny thing is, castles in Germany are named Schloss. That's the German word for castle. My last name is Schoss, no L. So all my teachers when I was younger, they used to call me Schloss all the time. They'd always want to put an L in there, and they'd tell me that my name meant castle in German. As we go around, I see all these signs as we're driving around Germany, Schloss, whatever, right? Just castles all over that you can turn off, and they're all marked on the freeway, it seems like. And so it's kind of funny to see almost my name spelled all over here in Germany. But this is just wonderful. If you take a look behind me, it's got some overlooks of this little town below. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's Reutte, Route, Austria. We really kind of feel in our element right now. We've been visiting some of these old villages in France and Germany, these medieval towns, and now we're in the mountains. So instead of we're in the Rockies, we're in the Alps. Okay, the next thing to do here is to visit Zugspitze Peak, but I'm actually going to break this into 2 segments here. So I'm saying the next thing to do here is to ride the Zugspitzbahn, the gondola that goes to the top of the peak here. Now, Zugspitze is the tallest peak in Germany, but the gondola to get here, nobody told me that was an experience in and of itself. Now, I'm not really a big fan of heights, and so these are a little scary for me. But what was even worse was on the way up, when you cross through some of the supporting towers, the whole gondola rocks back and forth. It's like a ride. It's like a theme park ride, and everybody kind of goes, whoa, you know. And 3 of us in our group, you know, are not a fan of heights, and so this was kind of we were gripping. Let me just say. So anyway, that's the next thing, is to take the gondola ride up. It costs around 50 euros per person, I think, for adults. They have some family deals, and kids are a little cheaper. Only takes about maybe 10 minutes to get to the top. And again, this is really, really popular activity, so I'll tell you more about the peak here in just a minute. Okay, the next thing to do here is to visit Zugspitze Peak. So this is the tallest peak in Germany. And just want to tell you a few things that you can do up here once you get up to the top after you ride the terrifying gondola up to the top. By the way, I was going to tell you on the last one that you can download an audio guide for this area. So when you're riding or when you're getting your tickets to the gondola there, they'll have little instructions on how to download an app. Mine didn't quite download before I ended up getting up here, and then the connection timed out. So I didn't get to listen to it, so I can't tell you how good it is, but that's a thing to do. Once you get up here, it's quite a big complex. So this is actually a ski resort, so there's even other gondolas that will take you to other areas up here. We haven't done that, but we've seen some people kind of milling around down in some other areas where there is still some snow. So we're here in June, a lot of the snow is melted, but there's still quite a bit of snow around these peaks here. So you can wander around. There's a big platform here, and you can go from the Austrian side over to from the Austrian side over to the German side. So you can actually enter two different countries up here at the top, because it really is the border between two countries. From here, you can look out and see just forever, it feels like, and you can see, I believe you could probably see like 5 countries from here. So you can just see the Alps that go on forever. Some of the Italian Dolomites, I believe you can see from here. Switzerland, Germany, Austria. So it is really amazing how far you can see out. And then they have restaurants that you can eat here, and they also have the actual Zugspitze peak is like a little rock formation that juts out, and you can take kind of a terrifying little climb up a ladder and then hold on to a little rope and get to the very end where there's like a gold cross there, just to say that you scaled the peak, the tallest peak in Germany. So some people are doing that. There's kind of quite a line there. Some people in our group are thinking about doing that, but there's a little bit of a line, and it's kind of slow going because you're scrambling out on some rocks. What else is there to do up here? I believe there is a museum up here as well. I know there's a museum down at the bottom, so you can do that. Eat and drink, walk around, take in the views. Make sure you wear a jacket. It's cold up here. We wore pants and a jacket today. But other than that, the weather is beautiful, and we got really blessed that we were here on a clear day. One other thing I wanted to tell you about this peak is the elevation of the peak is about 9,700 feet, something like that. For those of you who have watched a lot of our videos, you know that a lot of times we shoot our videos on our deck with our own mountain peak in the background there in Utah. That peak is about the same height above sea level as this one, about 9,500, something like that. This one is a little farther from the ground floor to the peak. It's a little more steep, and then of course you've got this amazing Alps mountain range in the background. Above sea level they are about the same. I thought that was kind of interesting, and makes me really appreciate the fact that I live in the Rockies. Okay, the next thing to do is just wander around and look at the incredible landscape here, including the cows. You can hear all these cows with their cowbells behind me here. This is so fun. This is kind of like perfect view of Austria. Okay, the next thing to do is to visit Ehrwald, Austria. So this is at the base of the Zugspitze peak, and I'm sure there are a lot of villages that are kind of like this in Austria and in all the Alps, but I'm just gonna go ahead and call this the Jackson Hole of Germany. This reminds me so much of Jackson Hole, only just replace the Old West motif with the Alpine German motif. And you basically have Jackson Hole. There are even statues for wildlife around the area, and a little park in the middle with a fountain here, a little statue, just kind of like Jackson Hole has their little town square. There are many things to do around here that have to do with the mountains, of course. There are lakes that you can play in, beautiful, gorgeous lakes. We saw those beautiful cows and their bells earlier, just gorgeous fields. Ehrwald has a lot of shops and just places that you can get some you can rent bikes and bike around the area. I've seen a lot of people doing that. A lot of activities, like they have an alpine slide, and they have a park up in the hills where you can take your bow and arrow and go and shoot different animals. You can go on a little track and go around and shoot these targets and stuff like that. So come and visit the Jackson Hole of Austria. All right, we're back at our place where we're staying in Stuttgart, which is actually Cheryl's brother's house, which is awesome. And just wanted to kind of give our closing thoughts here on our last 2 days in Bavaria. My favorite thing was going to the top of Zugspitze Peak. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Zugspitze Peak. That was an adventure. Just riding the gondola up there was quite an adventure, actually kind of terrifying for me. But it was an adventure, and then the peak, it was just so beautiful up there. But I would say Neuschwanstein was a close second for me.
All right, and I loved staying in the little town of Ehrwald. It was so charming. One of my very favorite things about it were the mountain cattle with the little bells around their neck. It was just a really charming city. And then I loved crossing that freestanding bridge, the Highline 179. That was something else.
Check out our other Germany videos, and most of our videos we're covering the American West. So if you're interested in the Rockies, check that out as well. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.